A Worldview from London with Adam Gilchrist.
Former US president and now one could officially say sex pest and sex offender Donald Trump. He's been found guilty of sexually abusing a woman, but does it make any difference whether it is in criminal or civil court?
It does make a difference, I suppose, in the sense that if it was a criminal court, he would have to go on the sex offenders register, and he would therefore be a convicted criminal. The fact that it's a civil case means he's not a convicted criminal as such. And although we can say that he is officially a sex abuser, a sex pest, he doesn't necessarily have the same doesn't have the same baggage, shall we say. Although, of course, it's about PR, that, isn't it? Pro-Trump supporters seem to think that it's a witch hunt, as he has called it, a disgrace, as he has called it, and that this is all about politically motivated sentencing. The fact that it was a New York court probably also is one of those where a lot of Trump supporters will go, that's the way of things in the big city. On the other hand, those who are against Trump or even on the fence might be thinking, hang on a moment. So there is no smoke without fire, and there is some fire attached to the former president. So I wonder, will that make any difference ultimately? There are some saying it will, some saying it won't, to his presidential campaign, I mean. And it's extraordinary that even after this verdict, and after all, he was also found guilty of defamation, that he basically defamed the writer E. Jean Carroll in calling it a hoax, a lie, in saying that she made it up, who is this woman, etc. Even after that, he was still saying exactly those words, having been found guilty of saying those words. I wonder, again, what difference that will make. Also, remember, Donald Trump said before he won the presidential election that women, quote, let stars do anything to them. Does that not still make us all shudder a little bit?
And this is a man who's still in certain parts of the United States, still a contender for the US presidency in 2024. And then to Moscow we go now. Russia's Victory Day parade. He spoke to rows and rows of soldiers in dress uniform. Vladimir Putin speaking at appeared to be a quite stripped down Victory Day parade. I think there was only one tank.
Yes, I think that's right.
One tank that pull through in Red Square. I guess all the other tanks are either on the front line or stuck in mud somewhere.
You got it. And I think it was an old tank as well. I don't think it's one of the sort of newfangled ones. So an old tank, considerably fewer troops, less hardware. I think there was one missile carrier, anyway, certainly only one I saw. There was no fly past. Often you get the military jets overhead. So you're absolutely right. A lot of it's been diverted to the war in Ukraine. Is there any lessening of the triumphalism? It wasn't about that. It wasn't about a sort of humility, if you like, from Vladimir Putin. He used his VE Day speech, and Russia always has a different victory in Europe day from the Second World War to the rest of Europe. The rest of Europe goes the 8th of May, but in Russia it's the 9th of May. Anyway, he used his speech to talk about how the future rests on the soldiers who are fighting in Ukraine. He talked about a decisive moment for civilization, which is quite something, addressing his troops, some of whom have been in Ukraine, some of whom will be going. Mr. Putin said a real war had been unleashed against Russia. You kind of think, again, like with our first character, that there isn't a great deal of self-awareness there, is there? There's not humility. It doesn't even recognize irony, for goodness sake. It was a very strange Victory Day parade. It was a very strange court judgment in New York. Strange and ego, they're all doing the rounds at the moment, aren't they?
And then a strange and mysterious death of a drug lord. There's a sense of mystery in Ecuador and Colombia.
There is, because basically this is a leader of the Los Chonoros gang who is behind various riots in the country's prisons, in Ecuador's prisons, but has been killed in neighboring Colombia. So what we know is that in Colombia, they found a body in the woods. They have identified him by the tattoos that he has. That was apparently the only way they could, in Antioquia province, and had identified it as Junior Roldan, shot through the head. Roldan had only been released from prison 3 months ago for various crimes, including all sorts of drugs crimes. But he ditched his ankle tracker so that he could then cross the border from Ecuador. He was a fugitive, essentially. But a police chief says the police in Colombia didn't shoot him. They don't think a rival drugs gang shot him. Before the rival gang Los Lobos had attempted to murder him, before somebody somewhere had got some explosives and attached them to a drone over his prison wing and tried to kill him there. And now it looks like it's third time unlucky, or third time lucky, depending on how you look at it. But who's done it? We don't know.
Coming up on the next series of Narcos in the near future, the murder mystery of a Colombian drug lord.